Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is your brother Gabor Romani. I was listening to a lecture by a social scientist today, and he mentioned a statistic that prompted me to do this video. As I love to research the dynamics of power, of value between men and women, because I believe it is one of the reasons why the world is so messed up, because there is a wrong evaluation in this. And while in my mind I always think, is this what really is the most important thing in this world, men and women? Because I do talk about this a lot. And rightly so, many people question me on this. Why does Brother Gabriel talk so much about men and women and love and relationships and marriage and failed issues within marriage and within pre-wedding and within so many dynamics in relationships? Why is it that he talks about this so much? And sometimes I wonder myself why. But because I read through different books, I love to continue to understand as much as I can. May Allah give me that ability. I sometimes come upon information that I definitely connect. I do what's called a text-to-text, and sometimes a text-to-self connection. And in these connections, I realize some deep, deep truths. The first one, as I said, today I was listening to this social psychologist, social scientist, and he was talking about how in a certain city, he was just taking the statistics based on the value of men and based on what men usually have the greatest value to show off, which is their resources, that, and based on how many women are available for marriage and would be considered marriageable, that the ratio would be that these women would be competing for would be 50 to 1. 50 women to 1. Now, that prompted me to remember the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Book 3, Hadith 23, which states the following. It is narrated by Anas. And he says, then I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying that from the signs of the hour, min asharat as-sa'ah, from the signs of the hour, will be the religious knowledge will decrease, religious ignorance will prevail. I think we can see this already, 100%. 100%. Now, there are people who claim to be ulama and knowledgeable and memorized hadith and books, but I do need to refer you back to the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls people who just memorize and just have books memorized, which is a lot of things that people praise themselves with today. I memorize so many books. I have so many ijazahs. That's great. But remember, that's not enough. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just not enough. Because the Prophet ﷺ and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that they are like donkeys with book on their backs. And he has made that simile to, related to, of course, none other than Bani Israel, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala many times warns us with and shows us their mistakes so that we do not commit them. However, we insist on following them, of course, as the Prophet ﷺ said, till the hold of the lizard. But then religious ignorance, well, I would say it's not just religious knowledge, but ignorance. People cannot connect the text to the real situations that we're dealing with. They're actually using the text to substantiate the propaganda against Islam, to substantiate the propaganda against men, against the leaders of this ummah. You have to understand that there is a big struggle for power. Now, while divinely Allah has made men the ones who will lead and have the power, women are now competing for it, and there are weak men who are helping these women, of course, with the promise of that at some point when women do gain the success and they gain the power, that they will somehow have a share in it, or at least they'll get some intimacy from them or a relationship with them. So a lot of these weak men, of course, will now betray their brothers and fight against their brothers, those who are strong enough and who have been endowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have the ability to lead. These weak men are going to now side with masculine women who are trying to take over the power. And because of that, amongst them are religious individuals who, of course, it is religion by narration, by saying, by singing, by so on. It's not necessarily a relation or a narration or a religious that is connected to real situations and that brings Islam to be a actual solution to the problems that we are faced with today. No. These are, well, I'm not, I guess, shy to use the name simps, weak men. These are even imams who are pushing people down, and we could see it, especially during COVID, during these past few years, how weak our imams and our leaders were to show examples in the communities and to bring resilience amongst the followers, their followers, who follow them in prayer, who follow them online. But not just that, to solve the problems that our community has been faced with, such as LGBTQ, and how they're siding with these people, even though not directly. Of course, they're not going to do it directly. No, we don't mean it's halal, but right now they had to, obviously retract and backtrack on that because there's been just a lot of pushback, but mostly because the non-Muslims push back on it. So now they found it, as cowards do, that, hey, we can also jump on and piggyback on these non-Muslims because, well, now they're standing against it. So we might as well just say that there was a mistake or that you guys didn't understand what we were doing. We were very wise in our decision, but now let us do it properly, right? Well, I think the intellectual person or any person endowed with some intellect would be able to understand that this was a big con move and that a lot of people fell for it. Now, let's continue though, because that's not the point of my video, even though I could probably go on for a long time about this. And he says there will be a prevalence open illegal sexual intercourse. I think we can already see that. And it's open. It's funny because the word open, now, not many people are going to do it on the street. I don't like to interpret things, but I do like to look at possibilities because, well, they fit. Okay, they fit. I'm just gonna look in at here at the Arabic. ويظهر الزنا. يعني it's ظاهر. It's like clear. It's open. Here, I don't want to make an interpretation, but do you not see maybe? And it's just a reflection. I don't make tafsir. It's just a reflection. With the internet and pornography and social media and OnlyFans, well, that's a zahir. It's open, clear. It's there, right? Everyone sees it. I don't really see too many people having sex on the street. Now they do misbehave, but I do see a lot of people dealing with these problems on social media, where people are putting illegitimate relationships online for everyone to see. Could be. Just think about it. Now this is the last part. As I told you, it's about the ratio of 50-1. Women increase in number, men will decrease in number, so much that 50 women will be looked after by one man. Why would women increase in number and men decrease? When we look at the story of Musa alayhi salam, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran many, many times, we find that one of the strategies of Fir'aun was يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. They will slaughter your men, your boys, but they will keep alive your women. Again, it's a strategy that Fir'aun used. In a modern sense, men are definitely the first ones to die. They'll be the first ones to have to go to war. As you can see in Ukraine, feminism died out in one day, overnight. And it was again back to the social construct, I guess, if they want to call it, or the social order of women and children first, like go, let men die. Throughout the century, that's what it's been. Men have been the gender that you can easily dispose of. And in a sense, I can see the point, because women are more valuable from that sense, because obviously you need that egg and you need that womb to create life and to propagate life. So women were always like, also you have to understand, if you have 1,000 women or 100,000 or 1,000,000 if they remain, as long as there's one man there and his thing is working, he can repopulate the country. You understand that? One man. I was going to say 10 men, 50 men, because we would have done things a little bit faster. Obviously, that man's going to be very tired. But as long as that man is in good health, it takes one man and 100,000 women, and he can repopulate. Some of those 100,000 women are going to have each one child within 9 months. Not to mention that some of them will have twins, maybe. And then within another year, he'll populate again, and so on and so forth. You can probably do the math and see the exponential growth. So obviously women are more valuable from that sense, and men are disposable of. I'm not saying anything by that. I'm just stating some facts. But men will always die out. Men will always be taken out. Men, indeed, there's a conspiracy theory against them. Whereas I said, women are now masculine. They are siding and making treaties with very weak, simpy men to take out the real strong men. Women are going to sow dissent amongst the men themselves through their deception, through their sexual appeal, their seduction, as the Prophet ﷺ warned us in the Sahih Hadith, فَاتَّقُوا الدُّنْيَا وَاتَّقُوا النِّسَاء. Fear this dunya, fear this women. He also said that he did not leave a bigger fitna, or actually adar, harmful fitna, than that of women. Now, as much as women hate that, that is the fact, is the truth, Sadaqa Rasul ﷺ, but also the fact that we see and we observe in the world. Everywhere we look, it is what it is. But now back to, well, yeah, women will increase in number, because also real men are not going to be there anymore. See, no matter how much a woman somehow corrupts herself, and I'm going to give a very extreme example here, she can always default to another strategy, to another position. She can be masculine, but she can always fall back on being a woman. She can be a boss baby, a heroine, the Marvel Captain woman, whatever, but she can always go back to the victim position. This happened and that happened, right? This is the modern Muslim woman. She has a mixed strategy. She is, as I said before, bipolar in a sense of not the mental health necessarily, but that she can move in between different polarities. Also, bilingual, the way she speaks. She can speak in a certain way, and then she can also cry and be emotionally manipulative. She can speak in a way that the world understands her, and it's masculine, and so on. But she can also cry tears to get people to take a knee in front of her. Bottom line is, women are very powerful. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ warned us to be careful. Not only did he warn men, but he warned women so they don't fall into that type of manipulative behavior. Because a woman who has taqwa, obviously she's not going to be like that. And I hope you are that woman, sister. A woman who has taqwa is not going to be that woman, inshallah. So it's a warning for all of us, by the way, when the Prophet ﷺ has made this warning. However, women are going to increase in number. And they're always going to be favored. They're going to have the benefit of the doubt. It is a world where we live in. It's a social order, female first social order. You have to understand, a man will be jailed just for a woman putting an accusation forward without even verifying the evidence. There's just so many policies that have been put forward. Women unilaterally decide whether they can have children or not. And not just that, whether the man gets to be a father or not. And if she allow him to, or she will force him to be a father. And so on and so forth. The laws and legislations have been put in the favor of women for that reason. And yes, it is a conspiracy, and yes, men will decrease. Whether they will die out because of wars, because of, well, suicide rates are huge now, extremely huge, or not, we don't know, whether it's suicide, but definitely men are dying out. And maybe it's just, even allegorically speaking, that real men are dying out. Like they're just going to be simps, weak men. They cannot even be called men. Men who are going to become women. Obviously, you can see so many cutting their thing off and joining the ranks of women, even becoming worse than women. SubhanAllah, they become really, really nasty when they become, in a sense, gay, or in that type of, mentality. A male feminist is one of the worst. It's worse than a female feminist. But bottom line is, even if allegorically looking at it, men are going to lower in number. They're going to die out. They're going to join the females' rank. They're going to be weak. They're going to join hands with females to destroy strong men and to compete with strong men. Keep in mind, again, that these masculine women, they know that they really can't win against a strong masculine man. But what they can do is they can use different strategies and use certain men to sow discord amongst strong men, so they can fight each other, and then they can the women can slowly gather more ground and more authority. Of course, they want authority, they want money, they want power. That's something that's been given to men by God, and that position of Khilafah has been given by God. But women want it now, and they want it really bad, and they're willing to do pretty much anything for it. So yes, it goes back to that. So there will be 50 women will be taken care by one man. It could be based on numbers, 100%, but it can be also based that it's only that few men, there will be real strong men to have that ability. But hopefully that's also a good bushra, or a good prediction, that men will survive in the end. The real men are going to survive in the end, as we know, but there will be few, and many will be sacrificed, many will die, many will be physically and intellectually castrated. But we know that towards the end of time, Isa alayhi salam, who will come back, will be a man. Mahdi will be a man. You would think that if women were on such a pedestal and so like part of this whole fight and this whole thing as they want to, Allah has given them, mashallah, in the example of Maryam alayhi salam and Asya, to be the wives and the mothers and the righteous women that stay at home. But no, they want to be the warriors. But interesting enough, you think that at least amongst the times of the ends of times, that maybe Maryam alayhi salam would be coming back to lead the ummah, or something like that. And people will be like, but she's not a prophetess. Okay, but so is not Mahdi. But Mahdi will be alongside Isa. You would think that Isa would be coming back with his mother. Okay, that he would raise her from the dead or something like that, because we have to show representation of a woman in this. But no, you don't have that. You really don't have that. You have Isa and Mahdi, and the people and the warriors will be men. There's not a lot of mention about women doing any of the Armageddon stuff. The Dajjal himself, right? The only thing that women are mentioned for, that they will join the Dajjal's army. So in the negative sense, not in the positive sense, where the women are now fighting the Dajjal and they're part of the big army of Mahdi who will kill Dajjal. It will not be a woman who will kill Dajjal, it will be a woman who will be supporting Dajjal. And that's what we know the hadith about, that women will have to be tied in, and they will try to join the army. Why? Because they love these trends. Because yes, this one-eyed man is going to be attractive to them, right? Because he's got power and he claims to be this and this and this. So again, women are not mentioned in a positive sense of warriors or joining the ranks of the warriors. No, they're actually joining the other side, right? Because they want to go out. So my advice to them is obviously work on your fitrah, which Islam always tries to tell you to nurture, which is staying at home, taking care of children. It will protect you from the Dajjal. You will not be, inshallah, hopefully, pushed to go there. And if it is, then hopefully your husbands will hold you down and not allow you to. But then again, a lot of these husbands will be very weak and they'll not be able to do that. So then women will be going. So yeah, 50 women to one man. It can be understood from so many different angles. Let me know what you think in the comments. That was just a great reflection. It was triggered by one of the videos that I saw and one of the statistics that was shared. And subhanAllah, he didn't say 40, he didn't say 30, he said 50. And then indeed, you want to call it coincidence or whatever, but the Prophet ﷺ, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى, he doesn't speak from just his desire. He said 50 women. And that's the ratios that we keep hearing now slowly from the secular sources. But then again, do we really need the secular sources to tell us that the hadith is truth? No, we don't. Let me know what you think in the comments. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.